So I was always just a little bit more leery around guns, not super comfortable.
Sure.
Until we started going shooting with, one of your friends who's very much avid gun owner kind of guy and has, membership at a range and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we started going there, and like the thing that was most comforting to me was seeing how seriously people take the responsibility that you must have when you are handling firearms.
Yeah, and it's very ingrained. I'm sure you can find examples where this isn't the case, but from what I've observed, it's very, very ingrained in that culture. Whether it's at a range, whether you're talking to people about it, or you're purchasing a firearm, the safety element of these things, people are very excited about it, and people have a passion and a love for it, but there's a very diligent level of safety that's always emphasized.
And I mean, I would also use the word like discipline too. Like, it is very important that you strictly follow proper general practices for handling firearms, being around people. Like, I remember, even though I didn't have a lot of exposure to guns when I was a kid, the little that I did have with my grandpa, I remember just him very much like, you need to understand the most important thing is every single gun is always loaded at all times. That's how you treat it.
Yeah.
And you never point a gun at anyone. I don't care if it's I don't care if you know with 100% certainty there's nothing in it, there's no mag in it.
You never know with 100%
right
certainty.
Yeah, I know, but I don't care. You do not point a gun at someone
unless you're going to shoot them.
Unless you have intent to shoot someone, which of course you should only be doing in a dire type of situation. So I remember that being very much ingrained in me, and that like people who are in, I guess if you want to call it the gun community, are very serious about that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't mess around with stuff like that. And like for me, going to a gun range and seeing the seriousness with which people treat it helped me feel a lot more comfortable, because I got a sense of like, I know how to like handle this, and I have a level of confidence that the people around me also know how to handle it. And we, as in broader we, this community as a society, we treat this very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I look at something like the culture that I've been exposed to, at least surrounding firearms, the emphasis on safety and things like that, I think is what allows me to feel comfortable enough to engage in the activity. There's always a level of lack of comfortability that there will be surrounding that because of the dangerous aspect to it. And by the way, I think that should remain. I think that there should be a lack of comfortability when you get behind the wheel of a car. Like that,
right.
You are in control of something that is very powerful, and making sure that you properly exercise that control is something very critical. When we contrast this, in my opinion, with the communities surrounding and events that involve alcohol or drugs and things like this, these are not places where I feel like safety and security and mitigating and eliminating risk as much as we can are exercised. When I look at something like a typical bar scene, okay, I'm not saying that it's like there are a bunch of loaded weapons and people are swinging them around like we're in the Wild West. I'm not saying that, but I've seen far too many times someone who is clearly intoxicated to a high degree and they're not being taken care of. And when I say that, I mean from two sides. One is that we need to be protecting other people from them, and we need to be protecting them from themselves. And I don't see a lot of that being emphasized in, like the bar scene or situations that involve alcohol. I don't see that around the drug and tobacco side of things. I don't see people saying things like, okay, well, let's be really thoughtful about this. I feel like oftentimes they're playing fast and loose with things. And that, at least for me, is why I choose not to engage in drinking alcohol and doing drugs and smoking and things like this, because I don't feel like it's well regulated, on top of the fact that I think that it comes with a number of other risks.